Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jim. I can assure you that I will be first in line to buy one of those chairs. My name shall be upon a comfy chair. Well, good morning, everyone. For one more month, I stand before you as your consulting minister. I'm Barbara Hove, and it has been a privilege and a pleasure, and continues to be so. And I'm aware of the passage of time and aware of the beauty of time. Time is something we're given as humans to experience, perhaps in ways that no other creature does. And I think it's important that we acknowledge time as beautiful, the theme of this month, but also challenging. Today we mark the end of a year, and that's exactly how we all might feel about it. At least I feel a little bit sad about it. We're heading into the last 3 Sundays when I'll be with you, and then there'll be 2 more in June, and then I'll break in the summer and a beautiful new floor. It's all good. I sometimes think that the most beautiful word in any language, but particularly the English language, is thank you. Thank you is such a powerful word. Some have said that if you only have one prayer, it should be thank you. And I agree with that. Giving thanks is something we should all do as much as we possibly can. And so on this beautiful day, I'm very thankful that I'm here with you. I'm thankful that the sun is shining. I'm thankful that I get to work with such wonderful people in this church. And I'm thankful for each and every one of you, for the warmth and kindness you have shown me during this year. And I hope I'll see you in the next 2 Sundays as well as today. But for now, we're going to sing a song of thanks. We're going to be singing a lot today, which I love to do. This is a song that's in the Teal hymnal, and it's easy, and so the words may show up there, but you really don't need to look at them, because I'm going to sing them and you're going to sing them back. So let's rise and body your spirit. Allison and Ryan will help sing with you, and you will just follow along with me. So here we go. My turn. Oh, we give thanks. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. For this precious day. For all gathered here. For all gathered here. And those far away. And those far away. For this time we share. For this time we share. With love and care. With love and care. Oh, we give thanks. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. For this precious day. Oh, we give thanks. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. For this precious day. For all gathered here. For all gathered here. And those far away. And those far away. For this time we share. For this time we share. With love and care. With love and care. Oh, we give thanks. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. This precious day.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the sweet though far-off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How indeed? Honestly, it required all of my concentration to speak those words tunelessly. They practically demand to be sung. There is power in music. The other day, I read a tweet with parody lyrics for a pop song, and then I had that song stuck in my head for the rest of the day. This is a song I hadn't heard in years, that I'd only ever heard on the radio, and quite frankly, that I don't even like. And yet I was mentally repeating the chorus for hours against my will. That isn't something that happens with poetry or pithy quotes or the digits of pi, which I have also memorized. Music is like groundwater, seeping into any crack or crevice it finds, and lyrics are the dissolved minerals carried along and deposited in your mind. Some lyrics are valuable, like those found in our hymnal, and others not so much. But they permeate based on the strength of the music, not the words. There's a reason we teach children the alphabet as a song, and it's the same reason advertisements have jingles. And it's not just our memories that are affected by music. Singing together breaks down our personal barriers and creates a feeling of solidarity and community. That's why protesters chant and sing, and it's why we sing hymns every Sunday. And it's why at every church I've ever gone to, I've joined the choir before I joined the church. And so this morning, I dedicate the lighting of our flaming chalice to the songs that bring us together in this community and are part of the reason this community exists at all. We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering.
I'm going to invite Lynn to come forward, and while she does, I just want to say a few nice things about Lynn Sabrin, because I took this job partly because of this wonderful woman, and when I knew I had the opportunity to come up here and work with Lynn, it was part of the great blessing for which I'm extremely thankful today.
Me too.
And so I'm really glad to welcome her as she celebrates the people who make our religious education program one of the best in Canada. So, Lynn.
Thank you. Sweet and unexpected. Wow. Talk about being thankful. I am always amazed at the many ways that the folks in this congregation dive into all of the volunteer work that is needed to make North Shore Unitarian Church thrive. And while the contributions of all deserve recognition, like we had last week, if there was a UU heaven, those who support family ministry here would definitely have a place there, maybe their own cloud. It is my privilege to recognize all those teachers, assistants, craftspeople, our whole lives facilitators, and family ministry team members who year after year choose to share their time, often giving up this very service. They share their spiritual lives, their hearts with our youngest members. It changed shape. The original was quite a neat chalice. I don't know what happened there. Oh well. You can imagine. RE leader, you bring energy and life experience into our programs. Your dedication is integral to the vitality of RE. You work collaboratively and diligently for the children of NSUC. Thank you for living your UU principles through this service, for articulating the importance of our faith to our children and parents. Your joyful service within religious education is felt and appreciated in this community. Now is the time for you. Our program year is almost over, and I'm going to invite all those people who've been supporters of this program to take time for yourself this summer, relaxing in your gardens, backyards, patios, balconies, with the gift of a ceramic pot containing a citronella candle. As you watch the glow of the candle, be reminded of the light that you shared and know that no one will bug you. Now, quite a few of our volunteers are at Camp Sassamat and various other brownie camps and guide camps and whatnot. But the people who are here will represent all of them. And if you are related to somebody who is a teacher or a supporter, come up, say somebody like Michael, come up and take the gift for that person. And I'm going to ask Shani and Max, would you like to help me give the presents out?
Well, I expect you've probably figured out, I have always loved to sing. And when I was a kid, growing up in the Unitarian Universalist Church, And John, I have quite a buzz going on here, if we can turn the volume down a little bit. I was lucky in my church in Massachusetts to sing in a children's choir, which is such fun. How many of you have ever sung in a children's choir? It's so great because your mind, your little brains are so, just sponges. And I've always had a good memory for song lyrics, and I could sing with gusto all of the hymns that we sang in my church that were for kids. Well, when I went to seminary, a wise mentor who also grew up in our faith gave me some very good advice. Memorize hymns, she told me. As much as anything, they speak to what people in our religious tradition believe. And she was right, and I did. I can probably sing at least 100 hymns without looking at the words or the music. A lot of them I can sing every verse. Well, I'm not alone in my affection for and interest in religious music. Religions across time and across the globe have used music as a teaching tool for faith. From modern pagan chants to Latin masses. From First Nations drumming songs to Jewish cantorial music. From Maori dance songs to African American spirituals, music has been used to enhance and celebrate worship, likely since humans became human. We Unitarian Universalists were, however, a bit late to the musical party. Historically, our faith tradition emerged from the most Protestant of Protestant religions, and in the early days after the Reformation, from which our religious ancestors emerged, music became more and more frowned upon until most worship services had no music at all. Can you imagine? When music began to return to our faith, it was primarily in the form of very staid hymns with square rhythms and boring words. And you all have heard the joke about, we all have to read the words to the end to make sure we agree with it before we sing it, which is why we're always behind. But gradually, mostly because of this deep-seated human longing for music that touches our hearts and spirits and is fun to sing, better and more accessible hymns began to be a part of our worship life. I am so lucky to have been a part of that musical flowering, watching and participating at gatherings like the annual General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association, where UU musicians began leading large and wonderful choirs and providing excellent music at those enormous worship services. And I also have had the privilege of attending at least a few gatherings of the Unitarian Universalist Musicians Network, of which Allison is a part. It's now called the Association of UU Music Ministries. I started going over 15 years ago, and like Allison, I have found these gatherings of Unitarian Universalist musicians so inspiring, particularly as they began to write their own music. While it's true that there were hymns in our older hymnals with texts and even music from within our own tradition, it has been over the last 30 years when the work to create the gray hymnal, hymns for the Singing the Living Tradition, Hymns for the Celebration of Life was the one I grew up in. That's the blue one. Then we have Singing the Living Tradition, or SLT, the gray one. And then we have Singing the Journey, which is the teal hymnal. Aren't you proud of me for knowing all that? Then there's We Sing of Life, which was the children's hymnal that I grew up singing with. Probably you don't even know about that one. It has been since the early 1990s, truly, that our music life has begun to flourish. Well, music we sing in church does indeed speak powerfully to what we believe. And so today I'm going to explore with you 3 hymns that say a lot about our faith. And I could pick So many different ones. It's always really fun. This is a fun exercise for you to do if you're interested in hymn music, is to go pick 3 that really speak to you as a Unitarian Universalist. It's an interesting journey to go on. So I'm going to take you on mine and hope that you'll come along with me. And I want to begin with one that I am certain most everyone in this room knows and loves. And as with all hymns we're going to sing today, I invite you to be particularly mindful as we sing them, listening not only to what the words say, but how the words, when paired with a tune, make you feel. So let's rise and body your spirit and sing the most favorite Canadian hymn in our hymnal, written by the wonderful Unitarian singer-songwriter Joyce Poley, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Oh, it's such a wonderful hymn. Let me take a moment to explore what I think this song is trying to say to us. I believe that the purpose of the religious life is to help us become who we are truly meant to be. And that means telling our own story and speaking in our own voice as we listen to others do the same. Now, it may seem counterintuitive that the process of allowing ourselves to become who we are meant to be allows others to do the same, but in my experience, it's absolutely true. I mean, think about it for a moment. When you are listening to someone tell the real truth about their lives, doesn't it evoke in you at least a willingness to consider doing the same? Well, Joyce says this so beautifully in the second verse of her song. When we tell our story from deep inside and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. I believe our hearts go to a holy place at times of listening and sharing the truth about our lives. It's part of what makes our faith so powerful. Our first principle tells us that we must respect the worth and dignity of all people, but it doesn't tell us how we should do it. And that's where Joyce's song helps. For she gives us powerful spiritual advice about how to live our faith. A faith that teaches us that all people matter and all stories have meaning. A faith that invites us to be honest about who we are and let others do the same. Consider this. Throughout history, much of what people called religion was really designed to help people conform. Believe exactly this way, do the ritual precisely the way I do it, read only these stories, trust only these voices, and God will love you and reward you. Our faith teaches something radically different. It teaches that the Holy speaks through each and every one of us, not just the chosen or the saved. And if this is true, and I believe it is, then all our faces, all our voices, all our ways of understanding Spirit deserve to be heard. We need each other to understand the wholeness of it all. These words that I've cherished for years, written by Unitarian Universalist minister Greta Crosby, speak to this.
If I could give you one key, and one key only, to more abundant life, I would give you a sense of your own worth, an unshakable sense of your own dignity as one grounded in the source of the cosmic dance, as one who plays a unique part in the unfolding of the story of the world. When you and I look at these trees, these flowers, anything at all, we are the universe looking at its handiwork. You have perhaps seen the pattern of cross and yarn called the Eye of God, made first in the Southwest in homage to the sun. We too, all of us together, all the eyes of all the creatures, are the eye of God. That is why we need each other, our many ways of seeing, that together we may rejoice and see clearly and find the many keys to more abundant life.
That abundant life is what we strive for. And I believe abundance is best found when we weave together the powerful concepts of unity and love. When our heart is in a holy place, recognizes the unity found through our diversity. And it suggests that it is through our hearts, a metaphor for love, that we discover where the holy places are. I thought you might be interested in what Joyce has to say about her song. This is what she told me about it.
Written in 1996, this song invites us to see ourselves in others, as we come to understand that all people have wisdom to share and stories to tell, regardless of culture, race, social status, or faith. We begin to realize how important our commonalities are and how interwoven our lives. When we open ourselves to this sacred idea, then our heart is in a holy place. This theme of mutual respect and understanding is a basic value of Unitarian Universalists who continually strive to be more inclusive and tolerant. The universal message of holy place makes it a relevant choice for multi-faith and multicultural gatherings as well. Just expand a little this theme of we're all just people with an emphasis on our commonalities is a theme I seem to keep coming back to. Maybe because in part, as Unitarian Universalists, we seem to talk a lot about our diversity, which of course is important, but more important to me is what we hold in common within the church as well as in the broader world community. Everyone, I think, would like to be blessed with love and amazing grace. by consciously seeking the holy place within us, perhaps we will be so blessed.
Well, now I'm going to turn to a very different hymn. When the Gray Hymnal was first developed, I went to a workshop to sing a lot of the songs and to get to know them a bit. And there were so many that resonated, but this one really struck me. Now, we're going to sing it, but don't get excited. We're not singing it yet. You can put your hymnal away. I'm looking at you, Alice, but yeah. Because I'm going to talk a little bit, and then we're going to sing it. A slightly different flow. So I want you to hear the words as Ryan and I read them to you, because sometimes it's really helpful to hear the words out of context from the singing of them, and really pay attention to what this song is saying. And then I promise we'll sing it eventually.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life.
For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass. We come with praise and thanks for all that is our life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. Oh, I just love the words to this song. It speaks very powerfully to our humanistic faith. And it reminds us that everything about our lives, for all that is our life, is meant to be honored and accepted, not just the happy and the beautiful. Let me break it down just a bit, starting with the two middle verses. The second verse speaks to the human desire to find and do meaningful work. And it does so by reminding us that everyone has gifts to give, including ourselves. And I love how it pairs the importance of work with the value of rest, something we Unitarians need to be reminded of now and again. And it even gives a gentle nod to the importance of love. And I really interpret this as physical love. There are few hymns in the world that speak even obliquely about sexuality. Given our faith's commitment to positive sexuality, this hymn is a beautiful evocation of all the ways we live, including in our bodies. The third verse also does something quite unique. It sings of the parts of life that are painful and difficult and sad, recognizing that failures, pain, and loss are as much a part of the human story as love and service. Pairing that line about fearful hours that pass with each new thing we learn is deeply moving. It is so human to learn from failure and fear. This song acknowledges that it is the whole of human life, not just the pretty parts, that make us who we are. The author of these powerful words, Bruce Findlow, was an Australian Unitarian who immigrated to England when he became a principal at Manchester College in Oxford, where most English Unitarian ministers were trained. Having served in World War II, he knew a lot about fearful hours that pass, and helped to found Amnesty International in Scotland. As one writer in England said about him,
Universalist in outlook, Findlow rejected for himself the labels of Christian or humanist, though he maintained a strong belief in a divine reality which he sometimes refused to name as God. He was quite content to describe himself as a theist. God to him was the embodiment of those three absolute values: truth, beauty, and goodness.
I find that rather inspiring. Labels can be limiting, and there is power to be found in claiming such things as truth, beauty, and goodness as the highest values. But whatever name you give or don't give to the holy, Findlow understood and wrote so beautifully in his hymn about what I think of as the best of humanist thought. Because I am a deeply spiritual person with a belief in the mystery some call God, I have been accused of not being a humanist. But of course I am, because our faith is always and forever humanist. If humanist means to honor the whole of human existence as essential to our religious understanding. This gorgeous song speaks deeply to our humanist roots in a way that gets inside our bodies with the beauty of its words paired with such lovely music. Though I have to tell you that when they sing this song in England, they use a different and much less beautiful tune. We learned that the hard way. So I'm going to ask Toby to play the whole first verse on the piano so you can hear Patrick Rickey's absolutely gorgeous melody. Note that after Toby plays that, there's a little intro that is at the beginning of every time we sing it. So let's rise in body or spirit, but listen as Toby plays the whole thing through, and then we'll sing together. Well, now I turn to a hymn that I first heard when I was a student at Meadville Lombard in Chicago in the early 1980s. In those days, singer-songwriter Carolyn McDade was traveling around to Unitarian Universalist communities, sharing her feminist theology and beautiful songs. I remember her visit vividly, and for years I carried around a small green piece of paper with words on it, one simple verse. I was so moved and touched by that song that I made an effort to learn it almost immediately. And of course, when the Gray Hymnal was created, there was no doubt which hymn immediately became the most popular. And I'm talking about Spirit of Life. Spirit of Life is one powerful song. It's simple, yet deep, easy to sing, yet profoundly moving. So I want to tell you a little bit about it, some things that I learned from my colleague, Linda Olson-Peebles. Carolyn McDade, its composer, was born in 1935 and raised in Louisiana. And for her, as for many women of her generation, life was expected to unfold as daughter, wife, and mother. But like so many others, the women's movement of the 1970s had a profound impact on her. Encouraged by a student minister at the Arlington Street Unitarian Universalist Church in Boston, Carolyn began to write music that spoke to her experience as a woman in a changing world. Learning to find her voice transformed Carolyn McDade's life forever. And she began to write many songs, including other popular hymns such as Come Sing a Song With Me and We'll Build a Land. But Spirit of Life is unique. And its story is important for us to know if we are to understand this song as representative of our faith. In the late 1970s, Carolyn got involved, as many people in our congregations did, with anti-nuclear efforts. Like protest movements everywhere, it was made up of well-meaning but flawed people who did not always act out of their best selves. Coming home one night from a difficult meeting, she felt the despair that emerges when it looks like even those who are trying to envision a better world aren't able to live that vision themselves. Frustrated and angry, she did what she often did in those days. She turned to her piano and waited to see if music would emerge. Unlike many songs she would write, Spirit of Life emerged fully born. It was, as she put it, prayed into being. From the heart of her pain and anguish came a cry for hope and justice. Using a name that speaks of the holy but does not limit it, she created a song that has become an anthem for our faith. Simple, humble, beautiful. It is a song that teaches, for it reminds us of our common commitment to justice. It lifts our spirits as it calls forth all that is good and strong in us, and it speaks to our shared path as humans on this planet, together growing roots and wings. The song has been sung in many places and translated into other languages. A dance has been created for it. It was sung by many of you when you visited our partner church in Transylvania. And it has been used in very healing ways. For example, shortly after the attacks of September 11th, 2001, my husband Jocko was invited to take part in a prayer vigil at an Islamic center. Surrounded by people of diverse faiths, all scared and sad, Jocko chose to offer this song in the way it was written, as a sung prayer. For him, as for many of us, Spirit of Life allowed him to get in touch with what is most essential, most holy, most healing. And so it is important for us to remember that Carolyn McDade wrote this song as a prayer. Some say that she returned prayer to a faith that had lost its ability to pray. Music can allow us to do things that otherwise might feel awkward or strange. Spirit of Life allows even atheists to pray. And so I invite you to hear this song in a new way. Today we're going to use it as it was written, as a prayer. I'm going to invite you to follow me into this as I speak and use the words in a prayerful way. Trust me, you will know when it's time to sing it, but I will ask that you stay seated for the singing of it. So let us now enter into a time of prayer together. Spirit of Life, name unnamed, we invite you to come into this place, to be present in and amongst us as we breathe together. Sing in our hearts, inviting us toward compassion. Let us be stirred and find our way to a place of caring deeply and powerfully. We feel the wind blow and the rising of the sea, and we give great and glorious thanks to be alive on this planet, surrounded by the creative spirit that is found in grass and flowers, trees, whales, birds, and bears. We pray that our hands will be used to offer justice to the world. There is always much work to be done, and it is through our hands that we must do that work. And there are roots that hold us through our history and our tradition. And I invite Ryan to light a candle for those roots, for all those people who have come before us, who have had trust and faith and hope, and have lit a candle for us, so that we might light another candle for the wings that set us free, the wings that allow us to see the all, the whole of it. Great Spirit, come and be with us. Come.
Move
Let us take a few deep breaths together. Amen. And blessed be. And so we end this time of centering and reflection. And I invite all of you, all of us, to learn and engage with our Unitarian Universalist music. There are so few places and times when we come together to sing. Now, yes, I know that singing is not easy for everyone, and the act of singing hymns may seem strange and uncomfortable, but I truly believe that allowing this music to get into our heads, into our hearts, into our bodies, and into our spirits deepens our faith. So by way of closing, let's sing one more hymn, this one from the Teal Hymnal. Now, these words were written by the American Unitarian minister of the 19th century, Theodore Parker. And Parker grew up in Lexington, Massachusetts, as did I for at least some of my childhood, and he became a staunch abolitionist and a powerful preacher. This short statement of faith was put to music by Tom Benjamin, a Unitarian Universalist musician and retired professor of jazz at Peabody School of Music in Baltimore. And it says so much about what we believe. Listen as Ryan reads the words.
Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual acts of love.
And I understand that this is not one that you know very well, and so I'm going to ask Toby to play it through, and then I'm going to sing it for you, and then we'll sing it together. So please rise in body or spirit. Sing with me. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
We extinguish this flame. The world calls us to live with depth, meaning, and purpose.
We are having our fire drill, dear ones. Please believe that this is the real thing. Yes, take yourself carefully outside. Please help those among you who find it harder to move. And please find your way out.